week on Mobile World Live, we are discussing moving to a future software world. And the advent of eSIM, which is moving from a physical SIM card to a digital eSIM download, fits neatly into this. Gary, where do you think eSIM technology is today? I mean, how long before this really becomes commonplace?
Well, I guess for many people, it feels like eSIM is some kind of silent revolution. There's been a lot of talk about it over the last few years, but it hasn't quite caught the public's attention yet. If I were to break it down, there are really 4 steps that need to happen in order for eSIM to take off. And the first 2 of these are already done. Step 1 is a single way of doing eSIM globally. And GSMA has managed to galvanize the entire mobile industry and produce what has become a de facto standard that any company in the world can build products against. So that's great. Step 2 is support within the mobile devices. And the device OEMs have been quietly implementing that specification into their products to the point where all the major OEMs now offer eSIM, and some of those across their entire product range. So that's also great. But there are 2 more steps required before eSIM becomes commonplace. The third step is for the operators to support eSIM. And that's not as straightforward as it sounds, because there's a significant investment required. Back-end servers, mobile apps, process changes, changes in retail, things like that. But it's great to see that many of the larger operators have already made that investment. But there are 1,000 other operators who have yet to act. And for them, it's a buy or build decision that they're going to have to make very soon. And then finally, step 4, in order to build demand for eSIM, the consumer needs to be educated about all the benefits. Now, of course, the GSMA has a role to play here, but so do all the stakeholders. And as that demand grows, this will help drive the operators to be ready in step 3. So how long before eSIM becomes commonplace? I think that with the right effort in place, this could happen within 3 years from now for most regions of the world.
Gary, you recently took up a role at SimLocal. You're their head of eSIM strategy. Tell us a little bit about where SimLocal fits into the overall eSIM marketplace and what kind of opportunities do you see?
Yeah, SimLocal is quite an interesting business. Its heritage is in the travel sector. They supply local SIM cards to international travelers at airports all over the world. They're actually one of the biggest resellers of prepaid SIMs in that sector. And what attracted me to SimLocal was how they acted when they joined the GSMA eSIM project a few years ago. They clearly saw the potential of eSIM back then. They made the financial investment and they put in the hard effort over the years to build what is now a very powerful platform, a platform that manages eSIMs on behalf of their operator customers. And it's that platform that I think opens up a whole host of opportunities for those same operators far beyond its original scope. So I was delighted to join the company earlier this year to lead them forward in this.
You mentioned SimLocal's relationship with the GSMA. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, Gary?
Yeah, SimLocal's got a great relationship with the GSMA. We've been very active in the eSIM project for many years now. We participate in most of the working groups there, and we've even hosted some in Dublin. And if you remember the steps 3 and 4 I mentioned earlier, that's the reason why we're working with the GSMA. We both want to make eSIM a success, and we'll do that by getting the operators ready, and at the same time, we'll educate the consumers, building the demand. Recently, we produced a white paper together, which explores the link between dual SIM technology and eSIM, and how that brings about new revenue opportunities for the operators. That paper got a great response from the industry, and if anyone's not read it yet, they can get it on our website, simlocal.com. And later this year, GSMA and SimLocal are planning to host what I think will be a critical eSIM webinar. And all of this is aiming to get steps 3 and 4 done as quickly as possible in order to make eSIM a success.
Well, it certainly seems that eSIM is gaining traction quickly. But what bit of advice would you give to operators and virtual operators as well, Gary, about ensuring that they really are business ready for eSIM?
Well, I mean, it's worth starting with GSMA's own prediction that a third of all smartphones worldwide will be connected via eSIM by 2025. I mean, eSIM's coming, and it's coming fast. So as an operator, you need to take it seriously because it's going to disrupt your business. Even if you just look, say, 2 years ahead, that GSMA figure is at least 10%. So as an operator, if you're not ready for eSIM, you're in danger of losing 10% of your customer base. If you're not able to provide what your customers are looking for, they're just going to go elsewhere. So my advice has to be start planning for eSIM today if you haven't already, and try to get input from organizations and people who actually know their stuff. And you'll recognize them because they're the ones who have been part of the eSIM project for years. They rolled up their sleeves and got stuck in to make all this happen. SimLocal is just one of those companies, but we're more than happy to chat with you to help you get ready. By all means, download our white paper, drop me an email, but please, whatever you do, start planning that process today. The future of your business really does depend on it.
Strong advice there, Gary. Thank you very much. We look forward to following the growth of the eSIM market and, of course, SimLocal too. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Justin.